activities, STEM or STEAM activities, to spark that, joy of learning and that joy of discovery. So today I wanted to speak a little bit more about Explora and the Firstborn Home Visiting Program. We have collaborated with the Firstborn Home Visiting Programs and the curriculum. We are bringing science and math content to home visitors so that they can, have that interaction, that STEM interaction within the family's setting. It could be in their home if they choose to meet there. It could be in a park if they choose to meet in a park. And so I wanted to focus on three activity cards that we have with Firstborn. Um, the first one is light and shadow. And I'm going to stop sharing and I will let Maya share the light and shadow activity card. So, if you are a home visitor with the Firstborn curriculum, you do have access to this. If you are not with Firstborn but do have home visiting um, curricula that you have with other partners or other research based curricula, Explora does provide activity cards that families and children can do in the home. The materials are not expensive, they're things that you can usually find. So, for example, this one is called Light and Shadow, and all you need is a sidewalk, chalk, a sunny day, and a clock. And this one would be you would trace the children's shadows. If they're too jiggly and do not want to stand in one spot as you draw their shadow, you can always get figures from around the house. So, for example, let's say they have a a figure a toy that they love, and you can place this on the ground and then trace the shadow and note down the time that you trace that shadow, leave that object there, and then come back an hour or two later and see what happened. This is a great way for children to discover shadows. Um, it is funny when children start walking and notice their shadow. I don't know if you have noticed this, but they do get scared and they're like, wait, what is this following me? It is their shadow. So, once they start noticing that, they do start to notice that as they're walking, even when they're just sitting, and you can do it against do shadow puppets against the wall. They'll start to notice um, these contrasting colors, these contrasting shades that are playing on the wall there, or in the daytime. And so these are just a few of the things that they start to notice around them, and shadows are the one of the funny ones when they start to notice that. Um, if you have older children that are 3 to 4, um, starting with puppets, and puppets are really easy to make. All you need is paper, doesn't matter what color. Oh, this is white. This is white paper. Sorry about that. You can use white paper. You can use different colored constructions. You can use newspapers, anything that is within their home, and they can trace out the outline of a cat, the outline of a ball, which is, a circle. And you can start a um, puppet show with the ball and the cat as the cat interacts and plays with the ball. Um, as they get older, they'll start to want to create their own as well. So that's really fun. I like when they try to make colored shadows. That one is really hard and a little hard to explain to little ones. But so that one is the shadow, a light and shadow. Maya, could you please move on to nature walk? And this is another simple, free, um, exploring outdoors with families. I would say this is a great activity if you have a mom in postpartum that you're trying to get out of the house, walking, breathing the air, getting their exercise, but also just being outside. As a mother who has had postpartum depression, I highly suggest this. This was fun. That helped me get out of, some of the funk that I was in. But this one is free, and mom and baby and partner or other children are welcome to join in this activity. Um, Notice the rocks. Can you count the rocks? Look at the trees around you. What do you notice about the leaves? And this is kind of one of those really aha moments for parents or um, families, adult caregivers of children, especially as they have a newborn, noticing the season that they're in. Because as you're getting close to that season, you start to notice like your body, oh, this is about the time that I had my little one, and we're getting close to that 1 year mark. Noticing those phenological changes. Um, so I highly recommend doing the nature walk, especially for postpartum uh, women or um, birth givers. Sorry. All right. Miss Maya, could you please go to floaters and sinkers? Floaters and sinkers. This would be a great opportunity for home visitors to talk about nutrition. We know it's hard to get our fresh fruits and vegetables, but when you do, um, there's a science activity that you can do with them, and also a math activity. Floating and sinking is not only a science activity, but it is a math activity because you're comparing and contrasting the fruits and vegetables that you're getting ready to cook. You can notice the sizes with the children, the color, the shape. Like, can a cucumber float in a tub of water? Or do you think a ear of corn can float in the tub of water? That one's really fun. When you try that, let me know what you come back with. Um, so as you're getting ready to prepare a snack or lunch or dinner, um, bring out a tub of water or a big bowl of water and clean your vegetables and get it prepared for the meal. And this is one way you can talk with a parent about, nutrition, food safety, as well as that little hidden science and math that you can, get in there. All right. Thank you, Miss Maya. All right. I'm going to jump back onto my slideshow here. In addition to these activity cards that is in Firstborn's curriculum, I want to share some other ideas that you could do with these 3 activities. The first one is light and shadow. Using a flashlight and some items around you, you'll create some shadows. And the shadows do not necessarily have to be special. They can be with whatever you have around you. I promise you that light and shadow with anything around you can happen. Nature walk. Thinking ahead and come up with some simple questions for observations. So as you're taking the postpartum mom out for a walk, asking her, what do you notice about the trees around us? And as you're walking, are they all the same? So today the walk is all about trees. What can we observe? What do we notice about them? What season are they displaying? So is it fall, spring, winter, or summer? And then as their child is getting older, these questions can become a lot more simple. Okay, we're going out to the park and I want you to find 3 leaves that don't look the same. And so as you're walking out with your families and looking for leaves that don't look the same, this gives them the opportunity to explore the space, explore the the ground, the trees, and it also gets parents involved in that. Do these leaves look the same? Let's compare them. They're almost the same. I think we can find another one. And so that opens up that um, conversation of back and forth with the parent and a child. Excuse me. Now, the floaters and sinkers, as they're preparing snack for their 2-year-old, because we got to cut up those carrots, right? Before you start cutting into the carrot, do you think it'll sink or do you think it'll float in this big bowl of water? And then you start adding the carrots, getting those observations, getting those predictions in, and then start adding those carrots into the bowl and seeing if those are going to sink or float. I will not tell you if they sink or float. That is up to you with your families to discover that. The floaters and sinkers, we are doing it with food. However, there are opportunities for you to expand this beyond food. For example, these families are going to start to notice that their children are putting things in water just to see what happens. And this can, if they have that fascination with putting things in the water, like, oh my gosh, my child is 18 months and they're always running to the toilet and putting things in it just to see what happens. All right, let's do a little redirection. Okay, we notice that they love things that sink and float, or like putting things in water. What if we make it into some science predictions, science experiments, and observations? So we're going to get a bowl and we're going to put water in it and we're going to put it outside and bring out anything that you want them to try out. So let's ask the children, go get something that we can put in the water to see what happens. Is it a rock? Is it a toy? Is it a spoon? Is it maybe a piece of paper? I don't know what they're putting in the toilet, but you know, go grab that and see what they do with that object as they take it to the water. And it helps redirect them into something that is not as destructive to plumbing pipes, but it's something that they can have ownership over. Of this little tub of water is just for experimenting, and then we can pour it out when we're done. So these are just some ideas on expanding on these 3 topics. Now is the time for us to play. All right. So we're going to play with some light and shadows. So get a flashlight. You can use the sun, or you can use your phone. Sorry, my phone is going to be all blurry here, but you can use a phone that has the flashlight option, and then grab some materials around you, and we are going to create a stage. I'll give you a minute or two to go grab some materials around you and figure out what you're going to use for the light source. All right. I found some opaque cups here that I wanted to see what would happen with the light source, as well as this cardboard cutter. And I have some rocks too. I'm never without rocks. Okay, I think we're all coming back now. So what you're going to do is going to have a flat surface and put your materials on that flat surface however you want. You can, like my cup here, I can put upside down, or I can stand it up, and it is opaque. So these are some of the things I have.
You want to turn off your background so that the objects don't
look
quite so magical. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I can do that. All right. So I'm going to point my camera down. Apologies. So right here is where we're going to set up our items. Like I have, that's too big. We're going to set up our items and your light source. So my light source today, because everybody has one, is my phone. And I'm using the flashlight function on my phone. And we're just going to go around the object that you have. Go on top of it, go up and down. Now I'm going to add another piece of my stuff here. I'm adding a rock. And noticing how that shadow is interacting with the bigger piece. Will it ever be longer than the cup? I don't know. I don't think so, but all right. Add something else there, or you can take away from there. I'm going to put the rock here because I'm curious about this rock. This rock I'm noticing, I can change it position and what it does, what that does to the shadow. I can make my shadow long. I can make it short, but I can't quite make it disappear. If anybody can get their shadow to disappear, let me know. Got this little paper crane here too. Does your shadow morph into something different? Like this crane here is starting to look like an airplane. It's starting to look a little bit like the pyramids and the Sphinx. All right, what if I go this way? Oh, that's so as I lift my light source, my shadow gets lighter, but as I get closer, my shadow does get darker. Is that what you're noticing? All right. Go ahead and keep going. I'm just changing my background back to. Okay. Let's pause because I want to know. I want to know what you notice and your observations. You, I have some prompts here for you. Let me share that. Okay. So the first one is, what did you notice? What did you notice as you played with your light source and the shadows? You're welcome to use the chat.
So Tammy says it captivated my imagination.
Oh, yeah. When you say it captivated your imagination, um, what were you seeing in the shadows as you created shadows?
Well, I'll hop in. This was one of the things I was using. It's a rock that to me looks kind of like a bird's head skeleton. And it made all manner of interesting shapes that were not necessarily bird shaped. It was really fun to see how it looked from all the different angles and imagine what kind of creature it could be.
Hmm, that's true.
Yep. This is Tammy. That's what I was noticing as I moved the light source around, how the shadow was always there, even if the light was right on top of it. You couldn't ever just get rid of it because you challenged us, and I said, I'm gonna do it, and I wasn't able to.
Yeah, getting the shadow to disappear completely. You're like, how do I do that? All right. And you are home visitors. How how would you introduce this activity of light and shadows to a family with an infant? Let's start with an infant.
Zoe's saying, I think this could be a great tummy time activity to engage infants.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
can expand on that some. I think because in my program we partner a lot with EI that comes into the home, and a lot of parents have a hard time with tummy time because baby's uncomfortable, baby's crying, so they don't want to leave baby in that position, and we're always like, you need to let baby have tummy time. And so I think having activities where they can be present during the tummy time and saying, hey, let's try this during tummy time, maybe that'll help baby calm down and like focus on something while they're on their tummy.
Yes, I like that. As a first time mother to my child, that she's 5 now. Yes, tummy time was a struggle, but we still did it, and it was the activities where she was on her tummy that she had to lift up her head and turn to see where the sound was coming from, and then also with the eye tracking, so noticing the contrast and things that are swinging. And so that, like, instead of like turning the head, it was just like the eyes. How is she tracking? All right. What about a toddler? How would you introduce this to a family with a toddler? Let's say a toddler, one that's walking, so anywhere from what, 10 months to 15 months, all the way up to age, let's say, 2.5. How would you introduce this to them?
Vanessa put in the chat, I'm thinking of shadow puppets as a way to engage a toddler.
All right. Speaking of shadow puppets, um, I did see a wonderful presentation on puppet play and STEM. So using puppets to introduce um, STEM like terms and things like that. So they had like this ball and a puppet that was running away from the ball, kind of like Indiana Jones. And so talked about speed and momentum and mass. It was funny, but it was like this puppet trying to run away from a big rolling boulder, which I thought was funny. As an adult, I thought, the voices were in there, the sounds, the person doing the voices was just, it was awesome. So thinking of story time and storytelling with a toddler and puppets, and thinking about the changing of the seasons. Oh, the leaves are falling. And I would say this would be a good time where, oh, go ahead, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry, I thought somebody was talking. Um,
Oh, my feet hurt.
Okay. The toddlers notice their shadows about this time. And as you're going for a nature walk or um, take some chalk with you and start tracing shadows. And then they'll start to notice the shadows as you're going back have changed positions. All right, now, if some of you have families that you visit that are 4 years and over, how would you introduce the light and shadow to them?
I want to get a couple of these comments from the chat in here. Lourdes, I translated your comment and you said, this activity would be very good with children between 2 and 3 years old because it would help them focus, especially since they're so busy at this age. And this activity would be great to capture their attention. And then Vanessa says, whole body movements outside on a sunny day and tracing shadows for older children.
Nice. Yes, that is true. And how do you get parents to, jump in and do this? Well, as you are introducing light and shadow to families, um, what is really great about these activities are that you don't need expensive materials to do this. You just need a light source and whatever toys are around you as you are playing with children and in the within or as you're engaging with a family and the child in the room, noticing the length of shadows. That is math. Noticing the size of the object casting the shadow. Okay, that is also math. Math is everywhere. We do use it every day. It's just not numbers and equations. Math skills are those comparing and contrasting, those measuring during baking. Um, it is the sorting that you do, like sorting the the clothes, the laundry. And so for shadows, it is that length, it is telling time, and um, it is free. And it is a simple activity that can be done on a car ride. It can be done in the home. It can be done in the park. And I can't stress enough how much it is nice to have things that are free. As a former home visitor, it was nice to just be able to bring materials on a home visit and say, okay, we're going to play with some water today, but we're only going to use a little bit of water today. And we're going to work on our fine motor skills. And what does that look like? So those are just some simple ideas on um, the science and math in um, in home visiting. I'm going to stop my share here. And I would like to open it up to some questions. I know I focused on light and shadow, and the reason why I focused on light and shadow again was because it was simple and it is with everyday materials around you. Did you want to, you could ask questions about any of the other activity cards that were presented through Firstborn.
want to get Zoe's comment in here too, because I think this groups nicely with the idea of bringing literacy into it as well. She says, I think with 4-year-olds, you can incorporate storytelling with the shadows. Love that.
Yes. Yes, you can. Oh yeah, Vanessa.
Yeah, I can show the activity cards again. Hang on one second.
And Zoe and Vanessa, well, I'm happy that Vanessa is asking for the activity cards again. At the bottom of these activity cards are resources like books that you can read that connect to these activities. So, for example, the light and shadow activity has Moon Bear Shadow, Let's Make Rabbits, Oscar and the Moth, The Black Rabbit, Me and My Shadow, My Shadow, and Light and Dark. So on this activity card for floaters and sinkers using food, at the bottom it does list the books that you can read together with a family. So if you are looking to connect some of these activities or provide books for your families, and you want it to help them explore a subject a little bit further, this one is really good. I personally like Who Sank the Boat from Floaters and Sinkers because it does have a pattern. The book isn't a pattern as far as storytelling goes, and it does end with a silly thing. You just did not expect it. Our children definitely did not expect that. And then there's Nature Walk. Ooh, Zoe.
Sorry, I do have a question because in our program we use parents as teachers, so we don't have access to like the firstborn cards, but is there a way that we could at least just get like these 3 sent to us?
Excuse me. Yes, you can request for those through Explora, and at the end, I will have a slide with our contact information, and you can email us for the activity cards. And some of these activity cards, we do kits. So let's say for home visitors that are working with toddlers and you want to provide some materials but don't have a lot of money, we do have kits that we do sell, and they really are not expensive. They are with everyday materials that you're like, oh, I would not have thought about that. But we do provide those as well. We do sell those. Thank you, Zoe.
Thank you so much.
Vanessa is wondering, does Explora still provide the professional development via Zoom with materials sent via mail?
Yes. Yes, we do. The next professional development through Zoom is going to be on May 8th, and it's going to be on bubbles. Yeah, bubbles. So if you register for that, you and email us to request for a kit, we will mail those out.
Other questions? Things you want to ask Victoria about extending the activities, or you've done such a great job, Victoria, of doing this from the home visitor's point of view, and I didn't realize you had been a home visitor before, but that makes sense.
Yes, I was a home visitor, and the curricula that I followed was Partners for Healthy Baby. Um, but I am not new to firstborn. I have used their curricula in the community health workers program through Santa Fe Community College, which is awesome. I really enjoyed that.
Cool. And we have some, yes, we do, firstborn home visitors here today, but we also invited everyone across the state who was interested in this. And so it's great to have people from lots of different programs. So feel free to, ask about adapting it for your program or any questions you might have about incorporating this kind of activity in your home visits. Or maybe the question is about, how to tailor it a little bit more and make it age appropriate. We did talk about infant, toddler, and like 4 or 5-year-old. But, there are infinite variations on these.
Yes, there is. And you can pull from my experience as a home visitor if you're curious about um, how would this be extended, or um, other activities that I've done with my clients, with my families. I've done it all.
Do you have a favorite activity that you love to bring?
Oh yes. I like to do what we it's babies and physics. So
Can you tell us about that? That sounds fascinating.
yes, so babies and physics is all about rolling. So when you think about rolling and children, especially infants that are in tummy time, I've brought balls that were highly contrasted, either lit up or made sounds. And we would roll the balls within their view. So they had to turn their heads and follow or listen to the sound and push themselves up and turn the other way, so that they were getting that exercise and then that activity going. As they were laying on their back, we would have balls and we would just go back and forth in front of them. And then I would lay it down next to them and roll it, so they would have to look up and do this. So kind of strengthening that. Doing the tracking with the eyes and making sure that they are doing that and they're able to practice that. I know that one is one of the things we want to make sure that they're able to do is, this neck motion as well as the eyes. Toddlers that are sitting up, rolling the balls back and forth. Um, and of course, they're not rolling it back at me, but I'm rolling it to them. And I'm like, I'm rolling the ball to you. I'm rolling it fast. And as I'm talking, I'm telling the parents, like, this is, momentum. I'm accelerating it by pushing and using force. So I myself am using physics terms with the parents, and the child is there, so they're hearing it, but they're not understanding, but they're hearing us talk. They're hearing me talk about something, engaging with the parent and engaging with them, and having this back and forth conversation, and including the parent in the play. Okay, now it's your turn. We're going to practice the speed of the ball and how much force you're giving it, and what um, the momentum and the mass. We're going to change the balls. Okay, so giving them those terms, but also this is one way we can play with them, and it's a simple rolling balls back and forth. Now, as they're getting ready to crawl and they're kind of picking themselves up to like be on their knees, we're doing the ramps. So I'll bring like a little tiny ramp and some balls that are big enough for them to hold, but not too small for them to put in their mouth. And they're putting it down on the ramp. I was showing them, and they're rolling it, and they're laughing because they're getting their ball to roll, and we're just going back and forth. We are going back and forth through this interaction, and then I step away and I let my parents do it. And then encourage them. I'm kind of coaching on the side, mentoring um, with the balls and the rolling and the ramps. Um, and as they get older, we increase the incline of the ramps. So this is just babies in physics, and it's a simple one is balls and rolling. That one was my favorite.
That sounds great. As soon as you said babies in physics, the image that came to my mind was the baby dropping different things from the high chair to see what kind of noise they make, how they go splat on the floor, whether the dog eats it or not.
Yeah, yeah, that one's fun. Yeah, yeah. Um, a lot of times people will have a meme of or like an article of a science teacher. This is why we don't have the science teacher doing playground duty. And he's about to do a Newton's cradle where he has a kid on the swing and he's pulling them out. And so when they go, they're supposed to hit the next kid. The other kid's supposed to pop up and go this back and forth on the Newton's cradle. And you're like, no.
I love the image though. Vanessa is asking about accessible STEM education. What about STEM education?
Yeah, could you elaborate a little bit more on that, Vanessa?
I was just thinking in terms of meeting the needs of all students, whether maybe meeting the need of a child who is deaf.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Is there some activities? Yeah, that's as far as I can think of. Just thinking in terms of future and just kind of educating myself on that part.
So my experience with um, early intervention in those that are deaf or hard of hearing is not very, I don't have that much experience, but I do have a conversation. When I was a home visitor, I did have a conversation with the parent and the early intervention specialists or the occupational therapist or whomever was meeting with the child and or with the family on what were they trying to strengthen, what were they working on as far as the IFSP and later eventually which is going to be an IEP, but making sure that when I provided anything that was STEM related, it was playing up to their strength. And so if it's a deaf child, having things around that are um, visually stimulating and lit, you can light up. Um, and then also myself learning some sign language from everyone. So I would ask like, how would I say this? And it's usually in the moment that I'm asking, and I'm learning with them, and I'm learning with the child. So I'm not necessarily coming in as an expert, I'm coming in as a learner. I hope that makes sense.
Yes, it does, and thank you for elaborating.
Because I claim not to be an expert in some of these things because there's always more to learn, and there's somebody who always knows more than I do. And it's not my experience, not my lived experience with them, and I'm here to be supportive and learn with them. All right. I'm just going to share our information here. So this is Explora Education. This is our contact information. Lauren Butcher is the manager of programs or the community manager of programs and oh my gosh, I cannot remember her title. Oh, she's the school and community programs manager. Sorry about that. School and community programs manager. You can talk to her about having a family science night or a family science event with your families, and she can help get that scheduled. I'm on here. That's my information, Victoria Roanhorse, and that's my email address. If you just have general questions or want, some activity cards mailed to you, you can use the education@explora.us for that inquiry and request.
Go ahead, Zoe. Do you have a question?
Yeah, I just had one last question. If you all, because in our program, we try and do like parent engagements over Zoom. Do you all have like speakers who would be willing to join us for those to help engage parents and show them these things at one of those events?
Yes. And then you would contact Lauren Butcher to schedule that. With UNM here in Albuquerque, they're the home visiting program. They are a parents as teachers home visiting program. They have scheduled us in the past to do virtual programs with their families.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much.
And if it requires a kit is mailed beforehand, or like a
Okay.
box kit so that you can distribute to the families.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, thank you, Explora, Xstudio, and Briante. I can answer Jacqueline's question, Jacqueline Bird. How far outside of Albuquerque are these education services provided? We travel all over. So if you are I believe, if I'm correct, you're in Santo Domingo. We do travel to the pueblos and other tribal communities. And Lourdes Chavez, I saw your information there. You can contact us, and we do have staff that do speak Spanish, and they could be able to help do programs in Espanol.
Great. Sorry there. It's really windy where I am and my internet cut out for a little bit. So hopefully everything has been going along well.
Yes. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Victoria, for being here today. And thanks to everybody who's coming. I'll be sending out a short evaluation. I would love to get your feedback, participants on how you perceived the sessions this year in the symposium and what you'd like to see in the future. We've had some awesome speakers this week. Thank you so much, Victoria, for showing us all the ways that we can use household objects to create STEAM learning opportunities for all ages. Love it.
Yes, I am a fountain of knowledge. You can always ask me questions.
Sounds great. Thank you so much to our interpreters as well. We've had so many great people supporting us this week, and we really appreciate you. And yeah, thanks everybody. We'll be back again next year with something new. Well, that was fun.
Yes, thank you. I wanted them to go outside, but I can't go outside right now, and I was gonna take the camera, but I didn't want to lose connection as well because it is windy here too.
Yeah. I'm glad it's the end at Friday that I'm getting all this high wind here. It's been pretty good this week. So
Yeah.
well, thank you, Victoria. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Hope Lucille feels better soon. And that
Yeah.
you don't get it, because mamas can't get sick.
No, I did get sick.
Oh
she
no.
she passed her virus to me already.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. Okay. Bye-bye, Sandra and Amparo. So nice to meet you. Thank you for your support. Adios, Lourdes.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.
Bye-bye.